Welcome back to Low Country Spotlight. I'm your host, Margie Pizarro. We are so glad that you stayed with us because we have in our next segment none other than the incomparable Serena James.
gosh,
She is one
so
of my
kind.
most favorite people in the world. I probably never told her this. I admire her so much because she is a person that knows how to do it and how to do it right from my perspective, and I really appreciate that. Now, we've been talking about, this show's focus has been on, helping the community. We talked with a faith-based organization, Community Ties. We had Jillian from the Junior League of Charleston talk about a nonprofit and how nonprofits give back to the community. Now we have Serena, because I believe that giving begins at home. And if you're not taking care of your family and meeting the needs of your family, then how are you going to even expect to be able to know how to give back to the community? So with that being said, Serena James, thank you so much for coming to Low Country Spotlight.
Thank you, Margie. I appreciate it. This is awesome. I love what you're doing here.
Well,
Thank
look,
you.
I love what you're doing, and I follow you on Facebook. I follow you on your blog on Our 9, and of course, we follow your husband, who's on Live 5 News.
Oh, thank you.
And what I see when I read your posts, I see such a level of inspiration. I see such a level of being able to work through the struggles of life, and I think that all of that prepares families for how to deal with things that go on once they leave the house and go outside.
Absolutely, absolutely. I often ask people, what is your address?
Yeah.
What is your address? And within that address, what are you doing for those people who are closest to you?
Wow.
We will give and reach out, and we'll even ask people all day long, how are you doing? But when you come back to your address, how often do you ask those closest to you, how are you doing?
Yeah.
I think that in the same way that we tend for our material possessions,
Yeah.
we need to do that much more for those people who are irreplaceable.
Wow.
How are you doing? What's,
Yeah.
and so I think that's important to ask.
And what it does is it seems like it translates outside of the dwelling place, because once you ask that question, and if the question is at home, well, I'm not doing so well, or
Right.
I had a bad day at school, or I had a horrible day at work, unless you address that need is going to be unaddressed, and then it's going to have some consequence later on in life.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think if we would all do better for, I call them emotional budgets at times. And
Okay.
so you know how you can have one little transaction that can cause a whole bunch of other things to bounce if you don't have sufficient funds in there.
Yeah.
And so I think that it is important to stay on top of those things and to ask those questions. Again, to those people closest to you, how are you doing? And just as you said, when you have those things functioning properly in your
Yeah.
life, you will see growth in every other area.
Yeah.
Take care of home.
Right.
Do that.
I think you're just coming up with all these, I'm going to call them Serena-isms.
Oh, wow, bless
Because like,
you.
what did you say, the emotional
Emotional budgets,
budget?
I really do. I have a whole spiel that I do. I do a lot of writing.
Yeah.
But I have a whole series on that, how we should do, just as we sit down and do a financial.
Like balance your checkbook. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have an emotional budget. How much am I willing to spend on this particular
Wow.
circumstance and on this particular person?
Yeah.
Because listen, when you start to bounce one thing,
Yeah.
it's just like it continues.
Yeah.
And so you within yourself say, hey, I'm aware of how much I have here.
Right.
I know how much this transaction is going to cost
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
And so, stay on top of it.
And gosh, just in saying that, I think about how much time we spend on negativity.
Yes.
And chasing things, running down that rabbit hole, and before you know it, you've run over the river, through the woods, but you hadn't ended up at grandma's house.
There you
You've
go.
ended up in a place where your mind is just so overwrought.
Yes, absolutely. I totally feel the same way. And for
Yeah.
what? What did you do that for? A lot of times we have this thing where we chase comparisons. I hate
Yeah,
comparisons
yeah.
because they're not accurate.
Yeah.
And so I think you have to run your own race. You have
Yeah.
to, and again, going back to home,
Yeah.
do what works for you.
Yeah.
We exhaust ourselves too with apologies.
Yeah.
To people who don't even affect really what's going
Right.
on here.
Right.
So find that thing that works for you and those you hold dear and you love.
Yeah.
And you will see, I promise, things start to fall in place in your life
Yeah.
where you need them to be.
Well, tell me, how did you get to this point in the calmness you exude, the soberness, the being able to see things as they are, as opposed to see them the way other people see them, which is important sometimes.
Sure.
How did you
Sure.
get here?
The calmness is out of chaos. It really, really is. A point in my life, our life, that shifted when our son, Grant James, was diagnosed with autism. And it was that point in time where we felt, okay, what is this here for? What are we going to do now? And through his journey, celebrating, I call them inch stones, because every mile is first measured by the inch. Learning to celebrate every single good thing that comes our way slowed me down. It completely slowed me down and forced me to consider those things and those people that really, really matter. And because I didn't have a lot of time now, I just started writing just little pieces, little things here and there that I began to connect to. And so I think that through his journey, I have learned so much. I don't know how it's possible that a 9-year-old child could be a teacher, but he is that for us. And so just again, celebrating even the smallest of things, of joys that come our way, have really gotten us in a place where gratitude is really the lifestyle. It really is.
And let's talk about gratitude for a minute, because I think it's something that a lot of people, it's the missing element. It's the missing piece of the puzzle. When you look at the standpoint that, you know, gratefulness from waking up in the morning, gratefulness from making it home safely, gratefulness from being able to smile at someone and they reciprocate. Those are things that I don't think we think very much about.
And it's so, and those things that you named, especially the latter, the one being able to just smile at someone and they reciprocate it back to you, those things do not cost anything. I love the power of a good eye contact. I love the power of making someone visible and letting them know, I see you, I validate you. And I think you never know in a given day who you're doing that for, who's never seen in any other space but the space you happen to be sharing with them at the same time. And you reach out to them and you say hello, or you say hi, or you give that eye contact, or you say, how are you doing? Those things mean a lot to that person being seen.
And you know, I don't think it even dawns on us the fact that you don't know what kind of day someone had. You don't know if they had a decent meal before they went to bed last night. You don't know if they got a good night's sleep.
That's right.
So sometimes when we see people, we just look at the surface and immediately make a judgment about them.
That's right. That's right. And speaking of making a judgment, that is what our whole onaisle9.com, that's the way it got started. My son had a huge meltdown one day at Target on aisle 9.
Okay.
And it was just a time when, how can you be around so many people and feel so alone? He doesn't often have those things that physically maybe alert that something is maybe wrong. And so it began to just feel like, oh, I'm being judged as the bad parent here.
And I'm going to stop you, girl, because we are out of time. But listen,
thank you.
See, it goes by so quickly. We need to get on the roller coaster ride again. But this is what we're going to do. Serena is going to be our life coach. So periodically, I'm going to have Serena on, and she's going to bring some of her Serena-isms. She's going to talk about her life. She's going to help all of us to be in this calm and peaceful place. Thank you for joining us on Low Country Spotlight. We will see you soon. Thanks. Take care.